Flow has been out in theaters for a good moment. This is the independent animated film that won the last Oscar for Best Animated Feature and was also nominated for Best International Feature representing Latvia. The movie was made with a tiny budget, just something around $4 million. It was created using the free open source software Blender, and apparently most of, if not all of it, of the animation was done by one man, the director Gins Zilbalodis. Also worth noting is that it's a movie without any spoken dialogue, just like Robot Dreams last year. The story takes place in a mysterious, sort of presumably post-apocalyptic world. There are traces of human activity here and there, but the humans themselves are strangely absent. It's just the animals. We follow a cat who is just surviving in the forest day after day until a great flood comes along, submerging the cat's forest and forcing the cat to go on a boat with a group of other animals, also trying desperately to survive and reach dry highland. So this is definitely a movie which has to be read allegorically. I've seen various interpretations of it. Some people say it touches on the will to live versus suicidal tendencies. Some read it as being a story about coming of age and becoming an adult, growing up, forging your own path and new relationships while leaving your parents behind. To me, the movie is about three things. One, it is, I think, about friendships, about learning to trust others and opening up to them and working together and supporting one another and sort of figuring out which of those relationships really matter and what are the truest building blocks for those bonds. Kat himself has to open up and learn to be with others in the first place, but we also have others. Dog, who has to make a conscious decision to stay with the friends that actually do support him instead of running along with the ones that are just plain fun. And Lemur obviously has to let go of physical possessions and those being a conduit to building relationships, which they're not really. Secondly, it's a story about indeed having the will to survive, to endure hardships, find solutions to problems, help others through them, and keep on fighting to live another day. I think this part is most exemplified by this contrast. It's most exemplified by the ascension scene with the secretary bird and the cat. I do think there might be indeed something there about the bird losing its will to live and effectively accepting death, moving on, whereas cat is still bound to the earthly plane and keeps going. And thirdly, I think this is a film about the unrelenting cyclical nature of life, about the crushing beauty of the natural world and about everything in it being transient. It's a movie which by the end makes you reflect that on the one hand maybe death and passing is inevitable for us all at some point, but on the other hand that this fight against hardships is not just a singular one-time journey that you complete and then live with ease. It's a constant day after day sort of getting up and choosing to keep going, of defeating one difficulty only to be faced with a new one. This I think is shown in the by not explicitly showing but highly suggesting the fact that the flood is coming back, the flood is repeating. Now this reading or parts of it may be incorrect or incompatible with others, but I think that's the beauty of this film, that it allows for various readings of it, and everyone can walk away with some different hypotheses, come away with some different thoughts about it. I find that to be wonderful about true pieces of art, that they allow multiple interpretations. I will also say that I liked something that I haven't consciously sort of thought about it until a user on the internet pointed this out, but I agree with it, which is that the animals here are not fully anthropomorphic like you would expect from a Disney or Pixar movie. They don't talk or behave like humans or wear clothes, but they are also just clearly just a bit smarter than real life animals would be. They can somewhat communicate non-verbally, somewhat understand each other, they can operate the boat. I thought that was a cool choice to have them be this way. It felt very unique, but it also means that the film it has this touch of magical realism to it. It feels slightly magical, but not like a cartoon. A word about the animation. It is done in Blender, as I said, and there are some scenes where the limitations of it are very clear and some renders just don't look as crisp, as good as, say, Pixar movies. An example would be the branch of bananas getting dragged onto the boat. But I think the filmmakers, for the most part, cleverly realized those limitations and made the movie have a style which is not really limited by those things, but sort of embraces them and makes them work to its advantage, to its favor. There are some scenes, so many scenes which would use the blurry blending of colors as a way to enhance the mood and the atmosphere, or just create beautiful shots. In general, there were multiple moments where I thought, wow, that is breathtaking. And I think those moments more than make up for any shortcomings that any keen-eyed viewers may spot here and there in other scenes. I'm not afraid to call the film very, very pretty. Final point, and this is going to be a bit personal. I think for me personally, the experience of watching this film may have been sort of negatively influenced by the fact that I didn't have the best day. I was tired, had a headache whilst watching it. And maybe because of that, I sort of didn't fully engage with the film on an emotional level, as much as other people claim to have done. It didn't truly touch or affect me. And I would say I engaged with it more on an intellectual level than on an emotional one, compared to some recent animated movies like The Boy and the Heron or Robot Dreams or The Wild Robot. And this isn't a criticism, I think it's more on me than on this film. And I may rewatch it at some point to give it a second go. But for now, the result is that I recognize it's a great movie, but for me personally, those other three I just recounted just left a stronger emotional impression.